Also, the idea of my worth as God's child, my sexuality.
So what's the basic truth about your worth as God's child? Yep.
The greatest of his creation.
You are the greatest of his creation. How many times do you believe that? Not very often for many of us, right? But the reality is we need to stay firm in that grounding of what we know, even if it's an intellectual knowledge, that we are the greatest of God's creation. We are a person worth loving. We are a person who is able and is currently loved by God. There's a lot of other truth in amongst that. God is a loving individual. God is not a punishing individual. God doesn't try to make your life hard on purpose, right? God always loves you in every interaction. All of God's laws are loving. These are all truths, right? These are all truths that we need to keep as a protection of our basic self, that we need to understand about ourself. You see, while we have these truths protecting our core self, we won't be misled into thinking that somehow we're a person that deserves to be punished for the rest of our life, for example.
And I know for myself, it's my willingness to drop those truths that has always led to me to spirit influence. The feeling that it's okay to punish myself, or the feeling that I'm not really worth anything, the desire to avoid that feeling and get other feelings from other people have all been ways where I've discarded God's truth, sat in my stuff, and then wanted spirits to help me out of it.
Now, if I was fully grounded in the basic truth that I am a person who God loves deeply, and I was fully grounded in the other truth that God is a God of love, can you see how much that would protect you from negative spirit influence? How many times do we do something that is completely out of harmony with those two basic truths? In other words, completely out of harmony with the basic truth that God loves you. How many beliefs do you currently even have where you believe that you're not loved? That God doesn't love you that much? That God doesn't care about you that much? And how easy is it to manipulate a person who believes that they deserve to be punished? It's pretty easy to manipulate a person who feels like they deserve to be punished, isn't it? Like, you see a little child, and oftentimes the parent's saying, I'm smacking you because I love you. So they're saying that violence is a fact of love. And here in this basic truth that we've just stated, violence is not a fact of love. Right? Imagine how much that would protect the child in that environment. They'd be going, Mummy, you can say you love me, but you do not, because you're belting me at the moment. Right? And they'd be able to say that definitely if they felt that inside of themselves, wouldn't they? They would not be influenced by such a person, just if they knew that one truth. Even a child would not be as influenced if they knew that truth inside of themselves. Imagine you now as an adult, and you know for certain that God is only loving and that you can and should be loved by God. And you are, in fact, loved by God, and you knew that for certain. It doesn't matter how much somebody told you how useless you are, how bad you are, or how disappointing you are, you know, you would not believe them, would you? Every single day I get a few emails generally every single day telling me how bad I am, right? Telling me how useless I am, how, and it ranges from all sorts of things, doesn't it, babe? Like from
From your addiction to your overall underlying evil intentions.
Yeah, everything in between.
Yeah.
And the reality is my own feelings that I am loved by God prevent me from absorbing those attacks. Just that one feeling. Now, if a person has a true complaint with me, as many of you now know, you can come and talk to me about it and we can discuss it. But if you are willing to treat me badly in that interaction, you also know that I will not do that with you. Right? Why? Because I understand inside of myself more and more, I still don't understand it perfectly, but I understand it more and more, that each of us deserves to be loved and that we are actually loved. And no matter how bad you think I am, God still loves me. That's a pretty safe place, isn't it? When you can feel that. No matter how bad somebody else thinks you are, that God still loves you. Right? One of the biggest complaints against the normal Christian faith on the planet is the judgment that comes from the faith towards people who do what the faith calls evil things. The judgments towards the prostitutes, the drunkards, the drug addicts, any person who they classify as evil, which I am classified as evil by the same people, and say they tell me all the things that I'm evil about as well. I'm much worse than a prostitute, of course, in their eyes, because I am the apostate of all apostates. Right? Now, all of those emotions getting projected at you, you imagine how easy it is for a spirit to hook into that and cause you to feel really bad about yourself with all of that emotion coming at you. But if your loins, your basic sense of yourself, is firmly grounded in this understanding that God loves you and that you are a lovable person, that you can be loved, and you are firmly grounded in who you know yourself to be, you will not get upset with a person attacking you, and you also will not feel as attacked as much, will you? You go, okay, they're allowed to have their own opinion, but it will not change your actions and what you choose to do with your life. Can you see that? Yeah? Alex, you have a question?
Hey Jay, I'm just wondering how I'm going to put this into practice, because I can already see myself, like, intellectually, if I'm getting attacked, intellectually telling myself, okay, no, God loves me, I'm a good person. So sounds good what you're saying, how do I put that into practice?
Well, there's two very simple things that you need to do. One is to tell yourself, intellectually, tell yourself the truth. Right? The truth is God does love you. Right? And the truth is this person who's attacking you does not. Right? They're harming you. The second thing you need to let yourself do is feel the attack. Because if you feel the attack, you will actually not change what you do, but you'll just allow yourself to feel it and you'll release an emotion. And in the process of releasing an emotion, you'll come to feel this truth. But you first have to at least tell yourself the truth. Otherwise, you'll never get to the second part. You'll just go, oh, yeah, you're right. I am terrible. I'm worthless. I am unworthy to be loved. God doesn't love me. I might as well commit suicide. And then what do you have? You have 50 spirits who have all committed suicide surrounding you saying, yeah, go for it. Here's a knife, here's a gun, here's a this, here's a that. They'll give you all the means to do it. That's the way they work. But if you tell yourself the truth, God loves me, what you're telling me is false, I know that because I just have that intellectual knowledge at least, then all you need to do is just allow yourself to feel the attack. In other words, have some grief about being attacked by a person who doesn't love you. Right? That's all you need to do.
Yeah, I know a lot of time, I think, Alex, what you were saying is like, what if I just tell myself the truth and I use that to deny the emotion? And I know lots of us who've had like positive affirmations in our background or whatever have used a lot of words intellectually to suppress emotion.
Yeah.
But something that I've really learnt from you, from AJ, is that he does remind me of truth all the time, and it does actually help me feel more when I'm willing to let go of the truth of the situation and go, yeah, I am a bad person. it just sends me into this downward spiral where a heap of spirits jump on and suddenly I feel dreadful. It's a lesson that I'm learning to remind myself of truth, even if it's intellectually, but stay focused on humility. It's when we use the intellect to try and avoid humility that nothing works. But in my experience, the only way I've ever grown emotionally is to grieve the real situation that's happening. So is to grieve not that I'm a bad person, but gee, it hurts that other people are calling me a bad person.
Can you see the difference, Alice? Like one is a fiction. The statement, I am a bad person, is a fiction. The statement, they're treating me as if I'm a bad person, is not a fiction. That might be a fact. We can only grieve facts. We can't grieve fictions.
We can only release,
Yeah, I started actually processing like anger towards my parents that I'm in at the moment and saying, God loves me and you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel there's a change around that.
Yep, no, that's good.
So, I just want some confirmation.
Yeah, often what I find is a person who's being attacked goes into the belief of accepting the person that's attacking them and the belief systems of the person that's attacking them. So in our interaction with myself and Mary, sometimes she'll get a phone call from somebody who attacks her or an email from somebody who attacks her. And I just say, babe, you're a beautiful person. And sure, you might have some things to work on, but this person is attacking you. That makes them not a very nice person. As soon as they attack you, they're not a very nice person. You don't go around attacking everybody. So you're a more beautiful person than that. And often just me saying that, Mary has a big cry because she feels the recognition of the fact that she doesn't deserve the attack. You see, what the spirits want to convince you is that you do deserve the attack. That's what they want to convince you. They want to convince you that, just like your parents wanted to convince you in many cases, that you deserve to get the violent belting because you did something that they disagreed with. Right? That's what the parents want to convince you many of the times, and that's also what these spirits want to maintain. While they maintain that with you, they have control of you. All they've got to do is make you feel bad about yourself, and you're theirs. Basically, you're theirs. You see, while you have your loins girded with this beliefs about yourself, that you have an intention to do good, that you have an intention to love, and you have an intention to be loving towards other people, these underscoring belief systems are protecting you, and you have a desire to understand that God loves you, even though you might not feel that yet. That is going to protect you from all of this dark attack causing you to get into this self-degrading, and depressive state where eventually we just want to top ourselves, or suicide probably if you're not an Australian, just in order to get away from how bad we feel about ourselves. And often it all began with our unwillingness to just stay firm to the truth that we've already been shown. Yeah. Does that make sense to everyone? Can you see the importance of just that one thing? Now, how many of you have gone into these spirals? Have you done that? Yeah? Many of you? Yeah. These spirals are often induced by spirits around you. They want to make you feel bad about yourself. You look at every single... I've just updated our website and put a list of my responses to media attacks that have happened in the past on the website. If you look under media responses, you'll see it there on the website. And with the help of Luli, who's been great at getting all the details together so that we can respond, we've put together some responses. Now, if I actually believed everything about myself that the media said about me, I would be an absolute mess. Like, I'd feel pretty bad about myself if everything they said was true, right? How do you hold on to beliefs about yourself that you know are not true? By grounding them in God's truth about you. Right? That's how you hold on to it. And intellectually, it may be an intellectual process initially. Eventually, you allow yourself to feel the grief of the attacks. And eventually the grief will be gone and you won't even grieve the attacks anymore. That's eventually where you will arrive. But if that truth is not grounded in you, what will you do? You'll go, oh yeah, they're right. I'm a terrible person. Look at me. Look at how bad I am. These are the exact messages that many of us grew up with all of our life. Look at how bad you are. You're all to blame, so forth. And we go into this spiral, and then the spirits just grab on top of that and chuck us into this spiral because they love to torment a person who's down. That's what they love doing. Just like many